Their flight decks were empty, but we bombed them into history. I can still see those wooden planks splintering apart beneath my Douglas SBD Dauntless as I pulled up from my dive, the taste of cordite and sea spray thick in my throat. 4 massive Japanese carriers spread out below us like dying whales, their decks barren of the fighters and bombers that should have been launching to defend them. Instead, they offered nothing but naked steel and timber to our 1,000-pound bombs. It was October 25, 1944. And I was about to witness the death of the Imperial Japanese Navy's carrier force, every last one of them. I flew dive bombers off the USS Intrepid during what history would call the Battle of Cape Gulf. But what we pilots experienced that morning off Cape Engaño wasn't just another battle. It was an execution. The Japanese had sent their carriers north as bait, hoping to draw our fast carrier task forces away from the main invasion fleet at Leyte. They succeeded in luring us away, but they paid for that success with every carrier they had left. I'd been flying combat missions for 2 years by then, from the Marshalls to the Marianas, watching our Navy grow stronger while the Japanese grew more desperate. But nothing had prepared me for what I would see that morning, the complete and utter annihilation of Japan's naval aviation. The alarm klaxon shattered the pre-dawn quiet aboard the Intrepid at 0430 hours. I rolled out of my bunk, already reaching for my flight suit before my feet hit the deck. The ship's speakers crackled to life with the voice of our air group commander. All pilots to ready rooms. This is not a drill. Enemy carriers have been detected approximately 150 miles northeast of our position. Carriers. The word sent electricity through every aviator aboard. For months, we'd been hunting the remnants of the Japanese fleet, but their carriers had remained hidden, licking their wounds from the Great Marianas Turkey shoot back in June. Now they were out in the open. I stumbled through the red-lit passageways toward VB-18's ready room, joining the stream of pilots and aircrew heading to their battle stations. The ship was already picking up speed, her engines thrumming with increasing urgency beneath our feet. In the ready room, Lieutenant Commander Bill Ellis, our squadron commander, stood before a large plotting board showing the Philippine Sea. Red symbols marked the enemy positions. "Gentlemen," Ellis began, his voice cutting through the excited chatter, "Admiral Halsey has located the main Japanese carrier force. 4 flat tops confirmed: Zuikaku, Zuiho, Chitose, and Chiyoda. They're steaming north at high speed with cruiser and destroyer escorts." A murmur rippled through the room. Zuikaku was the last survivor of Pearl Harbor, the final carrier from that infamous attack still afloat. She'd been running and hiding for months, but now she was trapped in the open sea. "Intelligence suggests their decks are nearly empty," Ellis continued. "Our submarines report minimal air activity. It appears they're operating with skeleton air groups, maybe 50 aircraft total across all 4 carriers. 50 aircraft. I exchanged glances with my wingman, Ensign Tommy Rodriguez. We'd faced Japanese carrier strikes with over 200 planes before. This felt almost too good to be true. "Our job is simple," Ellis said, pointing at the enemy symbols with his wooden pointer. "We're going to sink every one of those carriers. Task Force 38 will launch everything we have, over 500 aircraft. This may be our chance to finish off what's left of their carrier force once and for all." The briefing continued with weather reports, radio frequencies, and target assignments, but my mind was already racing ahead to the attack. I'd been dreaming of this moment since Pearl Harbor, a chance to settle the score with the Japanese carrier force that had started this whole war. By 6:30, I was strapped into my SBD Dauntless, running through the pre-flight checklist with my gunner, aviation radioman second class Pete Williams. The Dauntless wasn't the newest dive bomber in the fleet. The newer SB-2C Helldivers were faster and carried bigger bombs, but I trusted the SBD with my life. She was stable in a dive, accurate as a rifle shot, and tough enough to bring you home with half her tail shot away. "Bomb load secure," Williams called through the intercom from his rear seat. We were carrying a 1,000-pound AP bomb, enough to punch through any carrier deck and detonate deep in the ship's vitals. The flight deck of Intrepid stretched ahead of us, crowded with aircraft warming up their engines. F-6F Hellcat fighters, TBM Avenger torpedo bombers and ESBD dive bombers from 3 different carriers filled every available spot. The morning sun painted everything in shades of gold and blue, but there was a tension in the air that made my hands shake slightly on the controls. At 7 o'clock, the flag went down, and the first fighter began its takeoff roll. One by one, the strike package lifted off into the clear Philippine morning. My turn came 10 minutes later. I pushed the throttle forward, felt the Dauntless gather speed across the wooden deck, and pulled back on the stick as we reached the bow. The familiar sensation of flight took hold as we climbed away from the carrier, joining the growing formation of American aircraft heading north. The sight took my breath away. Spread across the morning sky were over 300 aircraft from Admiral Mitcher's Task Force 38, fighters, dive bombers, and torpedo planes from Intrepid, Franklin, Lexington, and Enterprise. It was the largest carrier strike we'd launched since the Marianas, and every plane was headed for the same target, the Japanese carrier force. We climbed to 15,000 feet and settled into cruise formation. The ocean below us was an endless blue carpet, broken only by the occasional white cap. For the first hour, the flight was routine, just another long over-water navigation exercise. But as we approached the target area, radio chatter began to increase. Tally-ho! 4 carriers bearing 010, range 15 miles. The voice belonged to one of our fighter pilots, scouting ahead of the main formation. I strained my eyes in the direction he'd called, and there they were, 4 dark shapes moving across the blue water like insects, trailing white wakes behind them. My heart hammered against my ribs. After 2 years of war, I was finally looking at the remnants of the Japanese carrier force that had dominated the Pacific in 1942. Zuikaku, the veteran of Pearl Harbor, Coral Sea, and Midway. Zuiho, which had launched planes against our carriers in the Solomons. And the 2 light carriers Chitose and Chiyoda, converted from seaplane tenders early in the war. But something was wrong. As we drew closer, I could see their flight decks through my binoculars. They were completely empty. "Where are their planes?" Williams asked through the intercom, echoing my own thoughts. The carriers below us should have been launching everything they had to defend against our massive strike. Instead, their decks were bare, with only a few aircraft spotted forward. No combat air patrol circled overhead. No defensive formations were climbing to meet us. Ellis's voice came through the radio. "All bombing 18 aircraft. This is your section leader. Target assignments as briefed. Zuikaku is ours. Attack altitude 15,000. Pushover at 12. Let's make this one count, boys." I looked down at Zuikaku one more time. She was a beautiful ship, over 800 feet long, her flight deck painted in the mottled green and brown camouflage the Japanese had adopted late in the war. She was turning into the wind now, probably hoping to launch the few aircraft she had aboard. But it was far too late. "Here we go, Pete," I called to Williams. "This is it." I pushed the stick forward and felt the familiar sensation of the dive bomber dropping into its attack run. The altimeter unwound rapidly as we plunged toward the carrier below, 14,000 feet, 1312. At 12,000 feet, I rolled inverted and pulled the nose down into the steepest dive the ESBD could manage. The carrier grew larger in my windscreen with frightening speed. I could see sailors running across her deck, see the muzzle flashes from her anti-aircraft guns, see the details of her island structure and smokestacks. The dive brakes held our speed steady at about 250 knots, giving me time to line up the perfect shot. At 3,000 feet, I pressed the bomb release button and immediately pulled back hard on the stick, feeling the G-forces slam me down into my seat as the Dauntless pulled out of its dive. The 1,000-pound armor-piercing bomb fell away toward Zuikaku's flight deck, and I craned my neck around to watch its impact. The explosion was tremendous. A pillar of orange flame and black smoke erupted from the carrier's deck, right where I'd aimed for her forward elevator. Secondary explosions followed immediately, aviation fuel and ammunition cooking off in the hangars below. "Beautiful hit, sir," Williams shouted. Right in the sweet spot. But I was already looking at the other bombers diving on the Japanese carriers. The sky was filled with SBDs and SB-2Cs. each one releasing its deadly cargo with a precision that American dive bomber pilots had perfected over 2 years of combat. Chitose took 3 direct hits in rapid succession. Her flight deck split open like a rotten melon, revealing the twisted wreckage of her hangar spaces. She began listing to starboard almost immediately, black smoke pouring from multiple fires below decks. Chiyoda suffered even worse. A pair of 1,000-pound bombs struck her amidships, and she practically broke in half from the force of the explosions. I watched in fascination and horror as her bow and stern began to separate, connected only by her lower hull structure. But it was Zuiho that provided the most spectacular destruction. The light carrier took at least 6 direct hits from our dive bombers, and when her aviation fuel went up, the explosion could be seen from 50 miles away. A mushroom cloud of orange flame and black smoke rose 2,000 feet into the air, and when it cleared, there was nothing left where the carrier had been but burning debris scattered across the water. The entire attack lasted less than 20 minutes. When the last bomber pulled out of its dive, all 4 Japanese carriers were either sinking or burning uncontrollably. The scene below us looked like a vision from hell. 4 funeral pyres scattered across miles of ocean, their smoke columns rising into the clear morning sky. But we weren't finished. As we reformed for the return flight to our carriers, Ellis's voice came over the radio again. "All aircraft, this is your section leader. We have new targets. Japanese cruisers and destroyers, bearing 270, range 8 miles. Let's finish the job." The Japanese escorts were trying to rescue survivors from their sunken carriers, but they'd made the mistake of bunching up together in their rescue efforts. Our torpedo planes and remaining dive bombers fell on them like wolves, and within minutes 2 light cruisers and 3 destroyers had joined their carriers on the bottom. As we turned south toward home, I took one last look at the devastation we'd left behind. Where 4 proud aircraft carriers had steamed north just hours before, there was now nothing but wreckage of oil slicks and a few scattered lifeboats. The smoke columns still rose thousands of feet into the sky, visible proof of the complete destruction of Japan's carrier force. William said softly through the intercom, "We really did it, didn't we? We sank them all." He was right. In one morning's work, we'd eliminated the last operational aircraft carriers in the Japanese Navy. Zuikaku, the Pearl Harbor veteran and last survivor of the original 6 carriers that had attacked Hawaii, was gone. Zuiho, Chitose, and Chiyoda had followed her to the bottom. With them had died any hope Japan had of rebuilding its carrier-based air power. But the true extent of our victory didn't become clear until we returned to Intrepid and heard the full intelligence reports. The Japanese carriers had indeed been operating with minimal air groups, fewer than 30 aircraft total, mostly trainee pilots flying obsolete planes. The rest of their carrier aircraft had been transferred to land bases in the Philippines, where they were being systematically destroyed by our Army and Marine Corps fighters. What we'd attacked at Cape Engaño wasn't a fighting fleet. It was the hollow shell of Japanese naval aviation, sent north as bait to draw our carriers away from the main battle at Leyte Gulf. Admiral Ozawa, the Japanese commander, had sacrificed his entire carrier force in a desperate gambit to give his colleagues a chance to destroy our invasion fleet. The gambit had failed completely. While we were sinking Ozawa's carriers, our escort carriers and battleships at Leyte Gulf were fighting off the main Japanese battle fleet and winning decisively. The Battle of Leyte Gulf would go down in history as the largest naval engagement ever fought, and we'd won it on every front. But for those of us who flew the mission against the carriers, the real significance was simpler and more personal. We just witnessed the end of Japanese naval aviation as a fighting force. After 3 years of brutal warfare across the Pacific, we'd finally broken the back of the fleet that had struck Pearl Harbor. The flight back to Intrepid took 2 hours, and I spent most of it thinking about what we'd accomplished. When I'd first arrived in the Pacific in 1942, the Japanese Navy seemed invincible. Their pilots were experienced veterans, their aircraft were among the best in the world, and their tactics were aggressive and effective. They dominated the Pacific from Pearl Harbor to the Coral Sea. But slowly, steadily, we'd learned how to fight them. At Midway, we'd sunk 4 of their best carriers and killed many of their most experienced pilots. In the Seoul Oman's campaign, we'd ground down their air groups in months of brutal attrition. At the Philippine Sea, we destroyed the remaining trained pilots in the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Now, off Cape Engaño, we'd finished the job. The Japanese would never again be able to project naval air power across the Pacific. Their carrier force was extinct, and with it, any hope of stopping our advance toward Japan itself. We touched down on Intrepid's deck just after noon, our aircraft's tailhooks catching the arresting wires with the familiar jolt that meant we were safely home. As I climbed out of the cockpit, my legs shaky from the adrenaline and exhaustion, I was surrounded by mechanics and intelligence officers, all wanting to hear about the mission. "How many did you get?" asked Chief Petty Officer Murphy. "My plane captain." "All of them, Chief," I replied, pulling off my flight helmet. "Every last one." The celebration that night was subdued, despite our overwhelming victory. We all knew that thousands of Japanese sailors had died that morning, and many of us had friends who hadn't made it back from other missions. War, even when you're winning, doesn't feel much like a cause for celebration when you're living it day by day. But there was a sense of completion. OFA job finally finished. For 3 years, the Japanese carrier force had been the ghost haunting every American naval operation in the Pacific. Every time we launched a strike, every time we moved our carriers into combat, we'd had to worry about where those Japanese flat tops might be hiding. Now that worry was over. The last Japanese aircraft carrier had slipped beneath the waters off Cape Engaño, taking with it the dreams of an empire that had once stretched from Alaska to Australia. I wrote a letter to my wife that night, sitting in the ready room while Intrepid steamed south toward the next operation. I tried to explain what we'd accomplished, but the words seemed inadequate. How do you describe the end of an era? How do you capture the moment when a nation's naval air power dies completely? "The war isn't over," I wrote, "but something important ended today. The Japanese will never again be able to challenge us at sea. Their carriers are gone. Their pilots are gone, and their ability to strike back at us from the air has been broken forever. Whatever else happens in this war, they'll never surprise us again the way they did at Pearl Harbor." 3 days later, we learned the full scope of our victory at Leyte Gulf. In 4 separate actions, the Sibuyan Sea, Surigao Strait, Samar, and Cape Engaño, we'd sunk or damaged most of what remained of the Imperial Japanese Navy. 4 aircraft carriers, 3 battleships, 10 cruisers, and 11 destroyers had been sent to the bottom. The Japanese had lost over 400 aircraft and thousands of experienced pilots and sailors. Our own losses, while significant, were far lighter. We lost 1 light carrier, 2 escort carriers, and a handful of destroyers. The exchange rate was overwhelming in our favor, but more importantly, we'd eliminated the Japanese Navy as an effective fighting force. The war would continue for another 10 months, but Japan would never again be able to challenge American naval supremacy in the Pacific. Their remaining ships would spend the rest of the war hiding in port, emerging only for desperate kamikaze missions that accomplished little except the deaths of more young Japanese pilots. As for the pilots who flew the mission against Ozawa's carriers, we knew we'd participated in something historic. We'd struck the final blow against the naval air power that had dominated the Pacific for the first year of the war. The empty flight decks we'd bombed that morning represented the death of Japanese naval aviation. I flew many more missions before the war ended, strikes against Luzon, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and finally Japan itself. But none of them had the symbolic importance of Cape Engaño. That was the day we finally avenged Pearl Harbor, not through revenge, but through the complete destruction of the military force that had carried out that attack. The Japanese carriers were gone. Their naval air power was extinct, and the path to Tokyo lay open before us. Looking back now, more than 70 years later, I realize that October 25, 1944, marked the true turning point of the Pacific War. We'd been winning for over a year by then. Midway, Guadalcanal, and the Marianas had all been decisive American victories. But Cape Engaño was different. It was the moment when Japanese naval power died completely. Those empty flight decks we bombed into splinters represented more than just 4 aircraft carriers. They represented the end of Japan's ability to project power across the Pacific, the end of their dream of empire, and the beginning of their inevitable defeat. We'd sent them all to the bottom, Zuikaku, Zuiho, Chitose, and Chiyoda, along with every hope Japan had of rebuilding its carrier force. The Imperial Japanese Navy's aviation arm, which had seemed so invincible in 1942, was extinct by lunchtime on October 25, 1944. Their flight decks were empty when we found them that morning. By the time we were finished, they were empty forever. That's the memory I carry with me from Cape Engaño, not the explosions or the burning ships, but the sight of those bare flight decks disappearing beneath the waves. We didn't just sink 4 aircraft carriers that day. We sank the last remnants of Japanese naval aviation, and with it, any hope they had of stopping our advance toward their home islands. The war in the Pacific would continue for 10 more months, but its outcome was no longer in doubt. The Japanese Navy was finished as a fighting force, and the road to Tokyo lay open before us. We'd bombed them into history, just as I said, and history would remember October 25, 1944, as the day American naval aviation completed its victory over the empire that had dared to attack us at Pearl Harbor.